How many citizens?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the City of Ocean Shores Radio Board meeting. It is Tuesday, November 28th, approximately 10:30 a.m. We'll start out with our call to order now and like a roll call for those who are in attendance. Those on remote, Johnny, can you voice in and we'll hear you?
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Daryl Prost here.
Daryl, okay, cool. Johnny and Marilyn's here. All right, thank you. I have a request to excuse Rosanna. She did send me a message that said she cannot meet with us. She's getting ready for common surgery soon and has lots of appointments, and she passes her apologies. And so I said, responded to her and said, certainly I'll share this with the board, and I've heard of great successes with the procedure and results. Keep us posted on your progress and wishing you all the best. So Rosanna properly checked in with us to make sure that everything was okay. So I think she is reasonably excused from this board meeting. Time to move on to the approval of the meeting agenda. Any changes or additions requested? I have an item that I would like to add under new business. So I'd make a motion that we add a request to the Ocean Shore, and I'll go into this a little bit more later. Request the Ocean Shores Fire Department provide a liaison to the radio board, similar to the liaison position that we have with the city council. But this is for coordination and communication in emergencies, so that they being the emergency medical, fire, and police services in the city, and other water departments and other divisions within the city that have a direct impact on the citizenry, can have a voice in how we communicate their needs to the citizens over KOSW. So I guess I'll just pose it as a request to add under new business, adding a liaison for the Ocean Shores Fire Department. Those in favor?
I'll move to.
A second?
Yeah, I'll move to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay. And second?
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor? I don't even know if we really have.
I'm in favor.
Okay, we have unanimous on that. Okay. Thank you very much for adding that. All right, we'll get back to the, do we have, let's see. We're at the public communications. This is a 3-minute opportunity for individuals in the community to bring forth their public comments. Do we have any that were provided previously? No. Do we have anyone online that would like to speak?
Yes.
Okay, we have Don Williams online. Don, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, good morning. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the recordings that you guys keep on your website. It's not your website, but it's another site. I use those quite often, all the time, and I listen to past meetings, so I really appreciate the extra effort made to put those recordings on. And that's about it. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thanks a lot.
Well, wonderful. We appreciate your feedback to us because that's the stuff that keeps us moving in the right direction. So thank you for that, Don. I'm glad that the communications keep improving, the clarity and all. So we'll continue to take those best efforts. Anyone else?
Me, Jane, sorry. Ocean Shores resident. First, I had something else, but to what your request about the liaison, I think that's a good idea as far as all the departments. It would really be nice. You mentioned water. If you could either have somebody come on, because there's problems with communication when the hydrant flushing is going on. Of course, there's people with water quality issues, things like that. I think, you know, getting all aspects of the city on there somehow and goings on, and somehow either having someone like you do, the clerk report, this report, whatever, see if somebody's willing to come on and do a report for these different departments. Public Works is another big one that's involved in a lot of community things. And then just additionally on there, you know, I'm always talking about more community programs. You know, you have certain people in the community that get a lot of attention in various ways, and it would be nice to, you know, and I've been looking at people that would be willing to volunteer to do something like this, but little interviews with certain people that are of interest in the community or do certain community services, so. And that's it.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Those are very parallel to a lot of the efforts that are already in the background works. A lot of things are just kind of a little bit wait and see how the coverage goes, and then we'll, you know, modify and make sure that we're reaching out to everybody in those areas. And I'll have a little note on that when we do discuss about the fire department adding that.
Okay.
That's cool. Thank you very much. And did you have any more?
No, that's
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, I think we can move on to the chair's report. We've added the Ocean Shores Fire Department to the list. Let's see. We have technology report. Well, actually, this is the chair's report. Just as an overall update on the tower project, we have a meeting slated for this Thursday. It's called a pre-construction conference that is with the representative of the American Tower, the owners of the site. We'll also have the tower crew will have a representative there, the individual from American Tower, Becky Leach from the city as project manager. Probably Butch and myself will be there, and we may have an opportunity. We've asked to see if the land surveyor can also have a representative present, so that we'll all be on the same page of the expectations that hopefully in 1 week, fingers crossed, if all this stuff passes this week, we'll be able to actually get the antenna systems installed, get the transmission lines installed, and be very, very close to initiating some preliminary testing transmissions from that site, potentially within about a week or so. So we're getting very, very close, and that's our goal right now, is to get our gear in and established.
When you do the preliminary testing, do you have to turn off 91.3, turn that one on?
No, fortunately, in this case, the testing periods, we can do the testing anytime now on FM stations. There used to be a period of time where you could only do it after midnight, between midnight and 6 a.m. But that has been washed out of the rule. So we can do the testing anytime. We don't have to turn off KOSW, but we can't do regular programming. So most of the testing will be either silent carrier, or maybe we'll play some music up there, or just do station identification specifications over and over again for some period of time while we do some testing. It's not gonna be at full power because the station is a directional antenna system in the FCC's authorization. Because it's a directional, we have to file certain information about how the antenna is installed and the way that the antenna is oriented to demonstrate to the FCC that the specifications of the antenna manufacturer are being met. So in the meantime, though, they say, well, you can go ahead and do the testing at reduced power, and they have a somewhere between 10 and 50% power level adjustment that you can actually run your tests on. And then once we actually get the permission to proceed, that's when we'll switch off the old and switch to the new permanently, hopefully. So yes.
When we do this testing, will it affect 88.9?
Oh, yes, that's what we'll be using is 88.9.
I mean, 89.1.
Oh, yeah, well,
No, I
real
mean,
world.
the testing will interfere with it, sir. Okay, when
It's-
you said silent, I wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah, no, it just, even if we send out a text carrier, it's gonna put a blanket over them for some coverage area that they'll be suffering, I think, but they'll find out. We extended an olive branch to the KEX or KXPB previously, and they declined the offer, so rebuffed it, best we can do.
Rebuffed it.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Let's see, other thing, well, that'll fall under technology. Okay, let's jump down to station report and see what you can get out of Trey and Butch.
Okay, let's see, I got the third quarter report in to, Sound Exchange on time. We are ramping up again with lots of underwriters, and so we have so many that we're having to run them at the top and the bottom of the hour. And the third thing is on a personal note. On November 29th, 2013, I began at KOSW. It means when I end my show tonight at midnight, I will have been here for 10 years.
Wow. Bravo, thank you. That's amazing. Old timer.
Well,
Early adopter.
actually, of our current station configuration, I am the old man.
Yeah.
You're catching up.
Thank you.
You're catching up, but you're still.
Not
lagging
made,
about-
so.
Still 3 years behind.
Butch. I'm not cutting you off if you had some more to throw in.
Just been kind
Okay,
of even keeled, just kind of manning the ship, as they say.
right.
We have picked up 2 new volunteers. One is Kim Mo. She came into my office and she says, I don't want to be a DJ. I just want to help wherever I can help. So she's kind of like a volunteer that helps us at our events and things like that. So it's the first time everybody's here. She come in the office and says, I don't want to be a DJ. I just want to help.
Great.
So I thought, yeah, I'm jumping on this.
Well, actually, funny that you should say that. When I started here, I didn't want to be a DJ. I wanted to be a production person. I just got drafted.
Back then, there wasn't many DJs to begin with.
Well, that's why I got drafted into being a DJ.
The other one is Joan Melky.
Melnick.
No. She is, she's gonna be a DJ. She just got her background passed, so I haven't had a chance to even bring her in to even start a playlist yet. But she's a little ways out yet, be going on the air, but she's one of our new ones. Basketball starts Friday with girls basketball playing Elma. And this year, Jerry and Knack and Mike Price will be doing the girls, and brother Daryl Kraus and Jerry's son Noah is gonna be doing the color for the boys. And Noah is kind of working as like an intern with us this year. They're trying to get in he's a senior at the high school. So we're kind of excited about that. It's the first time we've actually had someone that enthused from the school to come in and want to work with us on that.
So
So that's
let
gonna
me
be.
add to that too, but he came to us through Grace Harbor Youth Workforce. So he had to go through a bunch of steps to do this, and then they contacted me and had to do some paperwork and stuff, so I am okayed by the state patrol as well as the other volunteers are working directly with him. So I brought him in on radio to do the play-by-play, and Workforce is just thrilled that this kid is getting some experience in it. And I am as well, because I got my start when I was right out of high school doing color on basketball games for KDUX. Oceans of Beautiful Music.
Wow.
Shores.
That View Oceans now, is.
No, it's hard, but it's Oceans and.
I'll just interject real quick that, I know of another individual, not here, but this is up at Mercer Island, KMIH, has a broadcast program up there. And I remember very early when I got involved with them many years ago, that there was a student staff announcer that, I mean, he was so focused, and it sounds just like a very parallel story with this individual. And I guess he went on to become a sportscaster, and it's a wonderful thing. So these opportunities can open up doors.
Well, this,
Although I would like to interject, this is not the first students.
no,
We
I'm
had-
just gonna
yeah,
say,
so we had Daniel Free,
oh, I didn't
who
know.
was a football player, and Mika Brandenburg, who is now a Grace Harbor transit operator, who started with us and were with us, both of them, for nearly a year. So we have done things with students, but that was before your
That was
time.
before me. But since I've been there, this is our second Grace Harbor Youth
Yeah,
Workforce.
Levi.
Levi was our first one. Now, I suppose there's gonna be some paperwork that Trailer I have to sign, right? As
If you're alone with a
supervisor.
person, yes.
Huh?
Yes, if you're alone with a person, yes.
No, I mean, for the hours that he has in and stuff like that.
It's gonna do
Well,
that.
I thought they had to have the supervisors, the managers do that report. I don't care, they do it, it doesn't matter to me.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I mean, that's why they set up last when Levi was there, they had to have one of the managers to make sure they did the hours he was there and all that other good stuff. But you can do that, that's
Yeah.
fine, I don't care. I only know from, I see him doing the TV at the city council. meetings.
Right, he's doing that as well.
That's probably my report.
Thank you. No,
No,
you have to talk about
I-
Christmas music.
I got one more. Okay. You always ask us to bring somebody in and cross-train them, right? Okay, well, we got Jerry Knack he's volunteered to come in to learn production, to learn all the ins and outs of what we do as managers there and to help us out. So he's in a learning curve right now.
Well, I think we should provide a little more background.
Well, I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh, as I say, Della and I are looking to move,
I wasn't gonna say it.
so, we are looking to move to Tillamook, Oregon. We're not sure when it's gonna happen, because of course, we live in subsidized housing and it's when they have an opening. But, we're looking for someone to replace the image.
We can still set it up so you can remote in and do all your work.
Go.
Well, actually, they have a station.
Well, I know you're moving.
That's right, I'm moving to, we're looking to move to some place that has an LP station.
Oh, okay.
That right now has no volunteers. So they need somebody who can run a station here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna tell him that.
Oh.
All right, well, congratulations on the opportunities that seem to be building ahead. That's wonderful. That's very exciting. A quick technology report. Let's see, I've got two things. We have an emergency alert test coming up next week, which is what's called a required monthly test. And it's issued locally. There's a state plan that's issued every year that the required monthly tests are done by various agencies in the area. For instance, there are times like last January was Pacific County, and then Grace Harbor County EMS dispatch. They actually put out the alert. And then it goes back and forth between Pacific County and Grays Harbor County. This last one, which will be for this year, is December 6th, so that's Wednesday. And it's going to be issued by Grays Harbor County at approximately 8:50 p.m. So it's kind of a little unusual for an evening one, but that'll be expected to show up on our logs as automatic. We have our equipment at the station set to automatically forward those as they come in. So, but just a heads up on that. Let's see. On the world of low power FM, although KOSW is close to putting that in the rearview mirror and moving into a full Class A broadcast non-commercial station, there is a new filing window. It was announced by the FCC. It was announced back in July, and it was supposed to have been completed in November, but because of the commission's workload, I guess, they moved the window of opportunity to file is now from December 6th through December 13. Those are the revised dates, and the FCC website or consulting engineers are thoroughly familiar with this situation. But if somebody wanted to have a non-commercial enterprise and wanted to file for a low power FM, they would have to, of course, go through and do a frequency search and find a quiet channel and then submit an application to the FCC, and then have potentially like what we did with the moving to 88.9, where there are many other people in the area that also file. And so there's a whole work process that goes through with the FCC to go ahead and determine who a winner would be for another low power FM. But it is an opening in the FCC rules. I think that's it from my technology report right now. Frank is not available as mayor-elect. He's no longer going to be with us as our council liaison. So when the council gets reworked, I guess that's the first of the year. Yeah. Then we'll get assigned a new individual to be our liaison to the city council. Let's see, on to radio station finances. I don't know if Sarah's not online today, but she did provide a sheet for the board members, and it was also distributed, I believe, on the announcement. Let's see. So bottom line is, as of October 31st, funds that we have available in the city's account, the coming 2 years, of course, is $122,611.81. And she also lists the expenses for the period. Yes.
Can I just add something to
You
this?
may.
You look at the spreadsheet. This is for October, not November.
Correct.
Okay. Up and beyond our budget, North Beach Independent Media, along with KLSW combined, have brought in $13,958.25, up and beyond the budget. That's in October. Another $2,925 came back in October and November already. So we're looking at up and beyond whatever the city gave us, what we brought in, and we went out, especially Lon went out and got all these underwriters. And this includes the events this summer. This includes our city council meetings we get paid for. All that comes to $16,883.75 that we have brought in up and beyond our budget. I'm gonna make sure that the city council understands this when if we get a chance to report this next month.
Absolutely.
What was
Wonderful.
the timeline on that again? Sorry.
Timeline.
For the year.
That's for
That's for the year.
Okay.
To date.
2 days.
October.
Yeah, 2 days, which basically is half of our expenditures. We
Yeah.
raised almost half of what we spent.
Right.
Well, good. We're on our way to true independence.
I would say,
I have a question though, why is the total funds remaining so high? I thought they were allocating this for the antenna and all this kind of stuff. Has none of that been paid for?
No, that's all been paid for. I actually have some numbers on that. The 115, let's see, radio station upgrades to date. $115,576.48, which, just as a quick note, although we do not have all the things that I had originally spec'd, believe it or not, $15,576. I had predicted at this point we would be at $115,200. So I'm pretty amazed that their bookkeeping is coming out so close to the early predictions, but I don't know how to answer that specifically. I believe that that's already been expensed over the time. I don't know. These are current expenses. Yeah, not the cumulative.
Well, right, but I'm talking about the total funds remaining is $122,000. Do we have an expectation that we're gonna spend anywhere near that next year? Is
Well, we
this
don't know
just
yet.
for a biennium?
We don't know yet. I can't. See, there are a number of things, and I can touch on a few of them quickly. I was gonna do that when I do a board member report. Since we gotta kind of move things along a little bit, but so with that'll just be kind of a question that I can bring up to Sarah on the expense line. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, board member reports. Okay, on the tower upgrades, well, that's the way it was categorized, I guess, by the city. It includes the equipment shelter, the dishes, the antennas, virtually everything that has been purchased, including one, two, a little over around $2,000 in permits that were required by the county and other electrical hookups for PUD. And so a couple of elements that are not included right now that we will work out are backup power for the station for up at the tower site. Or I have a couple of other possibilities that we could either put in a uninterruptible power supply, and if the power goes out, or I shouldn't say if, when the power goes out, it will automatically switch to our backup low power transmitter that would allow us to stay on the air from up at the tower site, but we wouldn't have enough uninterruptible power supply to run the main transmitter for very long at all. We'd be lucky if we could get half an hour to an hour at the most, where I think we need to plan on outages up in the area, especially with construction coming along and that whole area is expanding so much. You know, we probably should be capable of running for about 6 hours at least without commercial utility power, at least. But the way the landlord words the contract, you have to have an additional agreement with them if you want to put in a generator, because you have a separate pad, you have fuel storage, you have to have a leak remediation plan, all that kind of stuff. So we're not going to go that far down the road at this time. Perhaps in the future, especially, another possibility would be we run on our backup UPS for a while, but as soon as it gets triggered, one or more of the volunteers go, hey, we'll go down to the station, grab the little Honda generator, drive it up to the site. We'll put a connector on the outside of the building or whatever and connectorize it. And then we can continue and charge the UPS unit and keep the system running for a longer period of time. So there are a couple of options in that regard. And then the third option in that regard, besides having a generator or having a UPS with a backup, is to take our existing KOSW operation and create a backup facility using it, which would be very simple. It does require an application to the FCC to explain that we're not gonna exceed the coverage contour, which we know already it won't. But at least it would give us a fallback on-air location, because we do have a generator there through the city. The studio's right there. Several aspects of that are very attractive. So as we get into this program, we'll start to look at those and make sure that we have a decent program available to keep the station on the air in the event of a true emergency. I don't know what happened with the city's generator. Last time there was an outage a couple weeks ago, I guess it was. But as I understand it, generator started but failed to transfer for some reason. So there are any number of environmental situations that can occur that would prevent that from occurring. But anyway, that's one of those things where while we rely on backup generators and all, there's still electromechanical devices that can fail. So let's see. I think that will take care of the board member report. Daryl, do you have any items?
Couple things I want to add on to what Butch had said about the KOSW basketball schedule starting December 1st, going through all the way through January. Pretty much all the home games for the boys and the girls. Looks like it's 19 games that we'll be doing this year. So it's going to be just the home games and none of the away games. The schedule is still kind of fluid. There's a number of days that are TBA to be announced as far as the starting time. We've got the dates pretty much set up, and I can send this out if you want to include that in the notes.
Sure, that'd be great.
And I'm sure Butch and Trey already. Playoff starts.
Posted on the website.
Oh, that'd be good.
Well, I'm sorry, Jerry's gotta send it to me in Windows, not PDF. I cannot cut and paste PDF.
Oh, okay.
So I can't get it on the website
Sure.
until he does that for me, but it's all ready to go on the website.
I sent it to you as a Word document. So
Yeah, I need that,
I
I
need that.
can't do PDFs, so.
the games will be simulcast. It looks like he wants to start the pregame things about 15 minutes before the game starts. That could be fluid, depends on how much stuff we've got to cover, 15 minutes or not. On the same thing with the simulcast, so now I'll schedule, that's what this schedule is kind of set to, so I can schedule those days on the TV station. So on the TV side, we are contractually obligated to carry the city council meeting replays noon on Wednesday and early on Sunday morning. And they gave us those days that we were on a Tuesday night. And the city council changed the contract just on the required playback times so that we could cover basketball games on purpose. So we had Tuesday night, Friday night that we were covering the city council meeting. So we are exceeding our contract right now by going live on Mondays at 6 o'clock with a simulcast of the KOSW radio off the air broadcast, and then with our slide package on Mondays. And then Tuesday at 7, we replay that file. So later this afternoon, I'll get the file that they recorded last night at the city council meeting, and then schedule that for the next 2 weeks. So I can do one move and then bang, it's all done. So then on Mondays, they will be a replay. Next Monday will be a replay of the city council meeting. So that's the only reason I'm mentioning that is on those games that are Monday night games and Tuesday night games, we will not be doing the city council meetings, but we're not contractually obligated to do that since we're going above and beyond our contract. So it's,
We are,
no, the city, I mean, I'm sorry, the TV site is.
no, but the radio station's obligated to do the.
Yes, you're obligated to do that, but every Monday night we've got,
Yeah.
every Monday we've either got the live thing or playback. So if any of these conflict on these days, we need to figure that out.
And Friday, I think your time starts at 5 o'clock on Friday. They got that special awards thing going on, some different things going on. Jerry says he wants to broadcast it.
Oh, the Friday, yeah, he's got a pregame set for 5 o'clock with a tip-off time. I think it's 7 or 6 or 7.
Yeah, there's an award assembly going on,
Oh, you're right.
something, some other things he wants to broadcast, so.
He said that in the meeting, that he wants to start an hour early. And then we've also got, like I said, Noah Knack is doing the color. And then the overall schedule for the North Beach TV, we are I can send this out to all the yellow stuff is all, simulcast stuff from the radio station. So, and I'm not gonna say a 40-hour week, but however many hours there are in a week. A whole bunch of them. 24 times 7, and since I was a liberal arts major, that means.
168.
168? So we've got 26 hours of simulcast of KOSW every week, approximately. So we're doing the overnight show, we do the morning show Monday through Friday, and then the midday show Monday through Friday, and then a good hunk of stuff on Saturday and Sunday. And Friday night, I missed one of those. So yeah, we're doing a lot of, and so that makes, I don't have to do so much scheduling on the TV side. We can carry the KOSW, which has got, the reason we're doing this is because they've got all the local, live, fresh information. So you guys do a lot of PSA reads and such of what's going on in the city. So we're kind of trying to take advantage of that on the TV side to make us more relevant. And I think working together is a good thing, so.
Getting comments back on it yet?
Yeah, someone said, yeah, I've gotten some, and they said they saw them on one of the slides I was running, they saw that, so. So we did take, because we're not affiliated with the city, we're not city owned, we did do political advertising and we did do all of the debates. And we had some 500 or so people watching the debates on the YouTube channel. We have no way of knowing how many watched on TV, but they were scattered throughout this. During the campaigning time, they were scattered throughout the schedule.
Thank you. You made my life really easy.
Yeah, it was done. We put a lot of time in just getting signal out of this building and getting it to work. And we only got to do one debate, but I spent a good 15 hours of equipment testing and then sending a blank signal out and then interrupting stuff during the day with just a camera shooting, the deer walking by outside and making sure it didn't collapse. Because the first 2 times it did, but then it worked great. We were able to go full data bandwidth out of this place. And I'm doing the same thing now. We're trying to get a signal out of the convention center, which is also city owned. And the issue is their router, which routes things, does not let you, we had that with Comrex, does not let you send things out, it stops it. And that's on purpose. So I went through a bunch of hoops and gave them the MAC address of our appliance. And the IT person here was able to pre-approve this, and so I came back and tested. The next time, it worked great. Except because it's a different system, I had to use one of the staff's computers. Because our appliance, you have to go through the web to get to the controls on it. So we had one of the staff folks put a little tab on it when I was here, and I was able to use that machine to start and stop the device. But I think the same thing probably will have to be done at the convention center. But it's possible. So we're working on that.
Should be. Well, excellent.
And that's what I've got.
Okay. Let's see, Rosanna is excused. John, do you have any items for our local activity responses or report?
Well, my report is, I'm happy to say that I'm happy to be on the radio board. I'm looking forward to creating fundraising opportunities in the future. I have some contacts at Seabrook, and I'm setting up some meetings with the Quinault Casino and the Quinault Tribe for opportunities for the radio station and the TV station. And as soon as I get back from vacation, I'll be back in my lovely Ocean Shores tomorrow evening, and I miss it real bad, trust me. And as soon as I get back in Ocean Shores, I'm hitting the trail to get some stuff done.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
I had one thing, was it 2 weeks ago that they had the table set up over at the Silver Bells, and we were selling tickets or trying to sell tickets to the New Year's Eve bash. Well, a lot of people came by and I had a chance to talk to them, and there was a lot of people that moved here in the last year or so, and they didn't even know we had a radio station.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, if they don't know there's a radio station, they're not gonna go online and look. So anyway, they were talking about that, and I was just wondering, when people move here, don't they get a welcome to Ocean Shores packet? I mean, like, from the realtors, I think I got one, with just some of the local things. And we have several, realtors that, you know, are sponsors for the radio station. Maybe if they do have such a thing, we can get our name out there so that they know about us. And also some of the people were saying, they want to know, what programming do you have at what time? This is the kind of music we'd like to listen to. And there was one, gentleman, he said, wow, I pulled it up and it wasn't what I wanted to listen to. I think he hit the hard rock kind of stuff. And he said, I wanted something like the 40s, 50s. So if we had like a little thing that when next time we're out in these events, that we could hand out, telling them that this is, you know, things that are scheduled, normally scheduled, then they'd have an idea whether this is when to listen to their type music.
Well, I know that I think the concept right now has been, we just direct people to the website and then go and look and see when various programs are, but it'd be kind of cool to have a little,
We've actually had that before. One of the problems though, when it's a volunteer station, is that you may have a grid, and we used to do this when we would do things at the convention center. We would have a little rack card. But it seemed that, you know, to get the cost down, we'd print 500, and by the time we get to about the second event, two or three people had gone, 2 or 3 new people were in, so, and also on like the underwriting pamphlet we give to prospective businesses, we list all the shows, but I'm constantly having to change it because, you know, people change names of the shows, people change days and times. Like I said, some people go, new people come in, but still, I think that's a good idea, and it's something that we used to do.
Well, some of the pre-programmed things, the robot, basically, those pretty much stay the same throughout the day, don't they? Or not?
No, for a while, we make changes just to change things around once in a while. I don't really wanna do anything to have to go full power.
well, that's part of it.
Because-
Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
the idea is getting us motivated in that
Yeah,
direction.
there might be some program changing when we go full power. I don't know what's gonna happen. We got a staff meeting Thursday. We're gonna be talking about that and some other things. Everybody's wanna know what we're gonna do. Well, this is the first time though, since I've been here, it's after COVID that we actually organized our shows. Before people came in, if there was an empty slot, we just put them there, right? Now our shows have some kind of
A little flow to it.
flow to it a little bit.
But we have some time because, you know, we're not gonna have really a lot of events until we get into March. So maybe by then, but no, I think that's a good idea, and it's something that we actually used to do almost every summer. Because that's something that you can hand out to people.
A great idea. Thank you. I think that's really good. And develop relationships with the real estate agents, so that becomes a more top of mind addition to their little introductory pack. And it also goes to the element that we've talked about many times here, but we really don't have the traction, I guess I'd say, to improve the signage. We have one sign on the way into town, it's not even in town. We have the emergency exit paths for tsunami that reference the frequency, and sometimes they actually represent, I think, have the call letters on there. But we're gonna have to go through and work with the city on getting those updated to the new frequency, of course. But that might be an introduction opportunity to saying, how about we produce a few more signs, and on city property, let's throw a sign up. If they'll allow it. I don't know what the applications are, but it's worth pursuing that, I think.
Well, you know, one of the problems with welcome packets is that that's usually handled by a community's chamber of commerce,
Well, yeah.
We
which
don't have.
we do not have
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to old business. We don't have anything on the roster for that. Under new business, we have 2 very important items that we need to address promptly, and that is we need to elect a new chairperson as the officer for this group. And while I've been very pleased and thrilled to have been involved with the board as chair for a number of years now, it's appropriate to bring some fresh blood to this end of the table. So we need to hold an election. So could I hear a motion from anyone who either would like to take the position, or that we can point a finger at and say, hey, we'd like to nominate you. We'll start right here. Marilyn, do you have an interest, or can you recommend one of the board members in the chair position?
Maybe Rosanna, I don't know.
He's not here.
Well, I can't, That's what's tough. I've been in those meetings before. That's not how I ended up in the chair position, by the way. It wasn't a railroad in that regard, but so I'm very hesitant, and I'm uncertain about what her medical situation is going to be for the near term. Certainly optimistic for the long term. Okay, well, let me bounce over to Daryl.
I've gotten my hands full with doing volunteering at the radio station and at the TV side, so I would have to decline of trying to do that.
Well, Johnny, welcome to the nominee position for board chair. Is this something that you'd be willing to entertain?
Do I get to sing with the position? I would consider the opportunity, and would like to pay more attention about how you're handling the meetings, and yeah, I would entertain the idea.
Okay, well, great. So we have an individual who is interested. And what about you? Well, I've got to move on. I can't hold down this position. It's not a heavy paperwork load, but I really want to be able to concentrate both on the tower project and all of the follow-up that's going on, and also just personal time, because we're trying to do a lot more RVing on the road type trips, and that'll just cut down on my availability. But I certainly I'll still be a board member for at least one more year, if not 2 more years. But I need to pass the gauntlet to somebody else. Yeah, the baton. That's the best way to put it. Let's hold a vote. Those in favor of
I'll nominate
having Johnny, those in favor, please. Oh, wait a minute. I think maybe we need to do a little bit more formality. I think I need to have a nomination, so, and then a second, and then we can go on to the nomination itself. So could I hear a motion to nominate Johnny as our new chair?
I make a motion to nominate Johnny as our new chair.
Okay, thank you. And second? I'll second that.
You can't look at us.
Yeah, second. No, I know. Well, I'm always looking around the table. And those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you, John. Okay, so a formal vote then, all those in favor of accepting Johnny as our new chair, please vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And aye. Okay, and Johnny, great, we have 4-0, and welcome to the top.
Yeah.
I'm
I like
quite convinced your mindset, particularly with the focus that we need on community involvement, And I'm very thrilled that one of my outgoing as chair is, tying more closely together our activities with the fire department and other agencies within the city, including the library, because I still hold that close in my heart that I'd love to have a storybook time for kids or something like that, which we've talked about with the library here. But I see great things for the future, and with the thoughtful guidance that you can provide and the relationships you have, I'm convinced we'll do a great job going forward. So thank you.
Thank you
John.
so much. I'm honored.
Well, we have another one to move on to, and
Well, wait
that,
a second, now doesn't he take over the meeting?
I don't think so.
But he's the chairman.
It's okay, well, giving due consideration to your not being present here, would you mind if I go ahead and continue the rest of this meeting before we turn the keys over to you?
Please proceed.
Thank you. Okay, we have election of a secretary that is to keep notes and work with the city clerk on releasing the meeting minutes.
Can I have a point of order? Are secretaries actually needed anymore? Because aren't these all now recorded?
Well, there
Yes,
is a
they're
requirement in
recorded,
the
but
bylaw.
someone has to do the minutes and write it down. Sarah doesn't have time and all the million things that she does to watch video
Okay,
and
but
rewrite
so
the
there
minutes.
still has to be a written record, since people
They
can now
have to
access the
submit meeting minutes.
Okay.
And it's in our bylaws that we have a secretary. We already.
Sorry to
eliminated-
interject.
No, that's perfect. We had already eliminated the position of treasurer because of the city taking over the financial management. So at this time, though, we still do have a need for a secretary. So Daryl?
We need more people.
Yeah.
I've only been there 2 meetings, don't have a clue what the secretary.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of either contemporary notes that you're taking or reviewing. Sometimes I'll go on and listen to a recording of the meeting and make notes from there. It's pretty straightforward. It's a good involvement because you're certainly involved with contacting other people to find out about elements that they might want to add. Yes.
Does the secretary act as pro temp when the chairman is not here?
I believe that is correct. Let's see, secretary, let's see, oh, if the secretary, okay, in the absence of the chairperson, the secretary shall conduct meetings. And then if the secretary is not, available, a pro tem shall be elected informally by the members that are present for the meeting. So,
Provided there's 3 of them.
so, yeah, it would just be a matter of, if Johnny is unavailable for some extended reason, that you just would sit in and do. It's great to be involved. Love to have you volunteer for
Who
it.
does the agenda?
Well, the agenda is actually produced by the city clerk. So what happens is as chairman, I get even though I have it in my calendar to put out a message to everyone to say, hey, do you have any items for the agenda? I get a notice from the city clerk that says, hey, it's time for our next meeting. It's usually a week and a couple of days before the meeting is actually scheduled. So like this last one, I think it was Wednesday of last week, Tuesday of last week, that I sent out the notice, and it was just immediately after Sarah had notified me. The rules, though, are the city clerk is required to post the announcement of the meeting. I think it's 48 hours in advance. Sarah has always tried to do that.
We like to get
much
it
more.
out for a week.
Yeah.
At least a week before.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ideal. Under duress, it can happen close to the meeting, but it shouldn't. And a few times we've actually gotten down to that towards the end of the week before the message has gotten out just because of other events. But, it's pretty transparent.
Does that include the minutes?
Does that, well, what it does is, if someone says like if I had been, ahead of the curve on, the discussion about adding, fire department, liaison position, I would have sent that to Sarah. In fact, what I did was I put in your message, to talk about, the, clarification on, election timeframe. So that was added because Daryl had responded to me directly. He didn't respond to all. And then I took that and, coupled it with a note about the elections needing to occur and sent that to Sarah. And, so she generates the document. And it's just a matter of if there are any particular items that are appropriate to add to the agenda, and anything else that is held over or whatever might happen, that just gets reinserted back into the agenda by the city clerk. So it's pretty straightforward. And there are plenty of people here who have had that position that you can lean on.
It would be helpful to even see what the minutes look like.
Well,
I mean-
it's, oh, well, yeah, now that's a whole nother thing. We have not had.
Can I say something, Marty?
Yes,
Sorry to interject. YouTube creates a transcript. So all you have to do is review the YouTube video and you've got your transcript right there. Thank you.
exactly. Yes, thank you. And so that's the other way you can go back and just go, oh, yeah, well, this is one of the elements that we talked about and then insert it. If we're just trying to reduce the amount of interaction that the city clerk has to have to get the agenda out. But that would be a discussion with Sarah, I would say, as secretary, and to say, what's our best process for getting the minutes noted and into the record. It's already an established record because it's recorded. So that's the good part. And maybe that's all we need to do is just reference those minutes by go to this website link and here are those minutes in essence. Here's the entire recording of it. It's kind of nice to have it condensed, but that's a process that you could probably work with the city clerk on to do, kind of fine tune it.
Typically a one-page thing.
Yeah.
It says blah, 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 and passed, didn't pass.
Yeah.
That's
7 votes for, 0 against type thing.
Yeah.
Yes, there was public comment.
Who commented or?
In board meetings like this, I don't think you necessarily have to write who and what the topic was. I know they do in city council for the minutes for that. I'm not sure about
Yeah, we're
this.
an odd duck in the overall mix of the activities in the city. So I think we get a little more latitude or a little less formality perhaps on a couple of those points. So I don't think you have to actually, name names as to who voted for what, or when a citizen speaks. You can just say that comments from the community included a discussion or a presentation about a bake sale that's coming up or something. Who knows? That kind of thing. So it's not terribly technical, not terribly complicated or long. It's just kind of like bullet points more than anything else. Feel like that's something you could give a shot to? Tommy may have even been secretary at one time. I know he was chair for a number of years. Yeah, so he could probably go, you don't need to put that in there, or, oh, I'd be sure to put that in there.
Okay, but I am going to have to know when, where, how, what, and all this other good stuff, because I have never been a secretary in my life,
Okay, well,
any organization.
I think talking, even just for a few minutes with Sarah would, kind of guide you very definitely, and we're not going anywhere. So,
And who posts all of the, I mean,
that's the responsibility of the city clerk.
okay.
So this document,
Usually
this document, oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. This document actually ends up being posted, it used to be posted next door over at the fire department or city building.
Because I
there.
know Tom used to have to go, as a secretary, had to go post.
Yeah, that we don't.
Nope, we do all that.
They
You
take care of
just submit it to us.
We're very thankful for that, absolutely, because you have to do the post office and, I don't know, they used to do the.
I go to the post office, I think, Keitha posts it
Library.
here, and I think they send it to Courtney or somebody to post it at the
So
fire.
it's really basically 3 locations.
I
or
believe
something
it's
like that.
still at those 3.
Yeah, yeah, so, so that part, that was alleviated, I used to have to go up to the post office and, ask for a key to go.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Now, don't you normally, I mean, need to nominate and second?
well, yes, well, we'll get into that, I'm just trying to make sure that she's comfortable in,
No, I'm not.
I know she's not, you're not comfortable at the moment, but
We can
you're,
bring you some examples from past meetings as well.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, and minutes are all posted online, so, you know, you can go to the website, the city website, and go back and look at how some of the old notes were put together and things like that. Find the things that we missed or dropped accidentally. Okay, so knowing that Marilyn is reasonably accepting of the opportunity, I'd like to hear a nomination of Marilyn, and then we'll step on from there.
I'll pay you if you don't.
Johnny and Daryl, would you care to?
I'll nominate Marilyn for secretary.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Wonderful.
She didn't pay him enough, obviously.
Obviously, I tried to slip money under the table, but.
Okay, we've already had a good discussion on this. So all those in favor, please say aye or raise your right hand or left hand and. vote.
Right.
Aye, and hopefully.
Aye.
Okay. 4-0, 1 abstaining because Rosanna's not present. But thank you, wonderful. We work tightly, not a problem at all. All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Notice no one else in here, which.
Yeah,
Everybody has their
only
jacket
idiot
on.
took my jacket.
Okay. Next item of business, and congratulations. Had this request to reach out to the Ocean Shores Fire Department regarding developing a new position, which would be considered liaison to the radio board. And that's for coordination of emergency response operations that are occurring within the city. It may be police, fire, water department, whatever the departments are in the city that need to have an urgent contact, point of contact with the citizenry. I have a vision, I actually have some of the equipment already in hand to be able to execute this, where we'll give the opportunity for someone from the city, an official of the city, to by remote, by either dial-up telephone or by radio command, actually take over the program that's on the air and disseminate the emergency information. They'll be trained in a script and all that sort of appropriate notifications that would be occurring if an emergency comes up. But it could be anything from widespread dunes fire, homes that are in jeopardy, water problems, flushing hydrants. Well, I don't think we'll do flushing hydrants on an emergency basis, unless it's an emergency that calls for it.
Tsunami.
Tsunami, of course, and any other number of potential hazards that we are subject to experiencing out here. One of the things to remember also is I printed out the Grace Harbor County fire department coordinations map. And of course, the city of Ocean Shores has our own fire department, but our new coverage area is going to include at least portions of 3 additional fire districts. There's Fire District 7, which is immediately north outside of the city limits. Then there's Fire District 8, which goes all the way up to Moclips. And then there's off to the east toward Capalos Crossing is Fire District 16. So, you know, we'll have opportunities to interact with those departments also. So something that could be threatening the shores, it's certainly something that would be of interest to people who live in the surrounding areas, whether it's a seriously widespread outage that's going to take a considerable amount of time to resolve, or road closure because of landslide, or whatever it might be. If it's elevated to the point of seriousness that a city official feels that they need to be able to get the word out to the citizenry to really make a difference, this will be an opportunity for them to do that. And working with a liaison, we can develop those protocols that would be appropriate for them to follow, and notification procedures, you know, probably, unless it's a gas leak, major oil spill, whatever it might be, most of it would be able to be coordinated with the management of the station. Just a phone call. Hey, we've got a very serious deal here. I'm going to go on the air, just so you know. Worst case, all the phone lines are out, this and that are all shot. They can take their handy-talkie, key up, enter in a secret code, bam, they're on the air speaking to the public. So that's the vision, and the intention behind adding a liaison for the city. So that's my pitch. I don't, it's not anything I don't think we need to vote on or anything, unless someone suggested it might be.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this something that you'll, between us and them, write up some scripts? So this is a, we had one in our, when we were at a TV station, we had a teletype room, there's a closet like that, they shut the doors because you could hear the machine clunking all day long. And because it got really hot, and because that machine, there was a big packet that says do not open, and the glue let go. Oops. Yeah, so I went through it.
Yeah.
And one of the messages was, the President of the United States has personally authorized me to give you the following information.
Wow.
Missiles have been launched.
Yeah.
And-
Is that the old envelope, the
Yes.
purple or yellow?
With-
green?
yes. Yeah.
And you have a football with you? You know?
Right.
But all, there was a ton of scripts in there.
Yeah,
You know, missiles are imminent or something, or.
yeah.
It was,
They had a lot of
The Martians are coming.
and they had, each one of them had a unique password,
yes,
spoken, you know, Alpha Foxtrot, Whiskey 4 Tango, and if you don't have it in the right sequence or something, you ignored it, but if it's the right one, you gotta read it. So, yeah, those, yeah, I don't know where we'll go with it as far as that kind of a level, but it is appropriate for them to have a structured, you know, introduction, message of urgency, time element involved, areas of closure or keep away zones or whatever it might be, or alternate escape routes, whatever that might look like. Those are the types of things that they would have like a preset messaging that.
I could see a packet that's.
Yeah.
In both places.
Yeah.
And so if something comes up and the phone call comes in, then you read this message.
However, we all have to be realistic that in our utter emergency, they're not all scripts, but that's okay. You know, this is something that I started talking about, I think, within months of joining KOSW. And then the reason is, sooner or later, a tsunami is gonna hit. And I remember the big blow of 2007. At the time, Della and I lived in South Bend. Pacific County has no radio stations. None. They rely on Aberdeen and Astoria. Sure. And so people in Pacific County, we didn't know what the hell was going on because, you know, KDUX or the stations up here, they would mention Raymond, South Bend, like maybe once every 3 or 4 hours. I talked to my friends down in Long Beach, the same about Astoria. Nobody knew what was going on. And, you know, since moving here, I've talked to a lot of people who were here when that happened, same thing. You know, people be listening to the radios from Aberdeen, trying to figure out, like, you know, like, what do we do? Where do we go? Nobody knew anything. And so to me, that is the vital importance of this radio station. I mean, all the other stuff we do, it's fun. We all, you know, we like to play our music, you know, we do our interviews, but where this radio station really could make a difference in people's lives is in, you know, the time that a tsunami or something major happens. And that's why I think this is crucial. This is something we should have been doing a long time ago. Because if something happens, like you said, cell phones are out, TV's out, but people can, you know, people have a transistor. They can turn on the radio.
Yeah, so far every car.
Right, every car, you know, but, you know, when people don't know where to turn, where to go, like, you know, tsunami hits, you know, roads are out, half the town's underwater. Where do we get food? Where do we get gas? You know, what are we gonna do? We become a lifeline. I mean, an utter lifeline.
My time here, I think of one time that it got bad enough, I don't know whether it was either an ice storm or it was a windstorm, I can't remember which one it was. We actually went around to the restaurants, find what restaurants were open, that had emergency power they could eat, but gas stations were open, and we were able to put that over the air to all the listeners, so they knew, you know, they're cold, they got the convention center, then they opened it up as a warming center.
Right.
And we were the main conduit for that.
And we got a lot of people later on emailing us saying, thank you so much, because like we didn't know where to eat, we didn't know what to go. And so that's where I see, like I said, all this other stuff we do, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but where this station really could make a difference is there's some type of major emergency, we become the conduit for, like you said, the police, the fire, the water department, whoever it is, because so often people are, you know, the power's out, you know, you're running out of food, you don't know where to turn, and there's that voice coming over that little box telling you it's gonna be all right. Here's where you go, here's where you don't go.
We need to educate a couple of the city council people, because the last time I brought that up, oh, they don't need that, they can just go on the internet and get QD at Grays Harbor or something. If you got no electricity and you have no internet,
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty tough to do.
Right, absolutely. Well, most everybody knows that our cellular coverage is questionable in a lot of areas, so. Yeah, that's exactly the reason for this. Yes.
I think this is a great idea. I'd like to even expand that one step further and then create a subcommittee to create some scenarios and some scripts, some packets, and then, like you said about the restaurants and places that are open, some scenarios that's not, maybe it's big, maybe it's not, but at least if we plan all this stuff out, some kind of a living book that keeps adding more stuff to it, so that we can address this.
Well, we certainly have the ability to create a subcommittee at any time.
Let's table that till we get someone
Yeah,
from there.
yeah. So here's my next steps in my vision, and if we have agreement, we'll go ahead with it. I'll reach out to the contact I have at the Ocean Shores Fire Department and discuss this further. And in fact, before this meeting, I had a brief opportunity to meet with him, and the chief had approached him about being involved with the radio station. But there was a little misunderstanding about the emergency dissemination aspect of the radio station. It was thought of as, well, you know, it's a lot of it's automated and a lot of it's just music. Well, but we have an underlying commitment to the community here to provide the emergency service that we can do, and that would be to carry out those messages. So all of a sudden there was a rethinking of, oh yeah, I forgot that you guys do that kind of stuff. Maybe we should go ahead. So that was really the impetus to get this rolling, and I'll go back and say, yes, we want to follow up on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to develop a subcommittee once we know that you guys are cool about it and want to. I think this will go a long way also towards reinforcing the and opening the eyes of many of the members of the city council that haven't been here through the progression of the radio station over the years, to have a deep enough appreciation for what we can do and what we have done and what we want to go with it. That will be that much more impacting positively to the community. So,
Right, because, you know, when there are storms, you know, we actually used to have a thing called a storm team that would assemble at the station. We don't really need it now because you've got these two old bogeys here. There's a storm and usually we're both down there. But no, early on, we had what was called the storm team. It's like if power gets knocked out, you know, I always say to my wife, well, you sit here in the dark, I'm going down to where there's a microwave and heat. No, but we would have a thing where we would have at least two people in the station, one on the air, one on the backup checking, you know, PUD, various sites, news. We've also had situations, you know, Tom has done this quite a number of times when there have been accidents or incidents, called in with reports. When we've had bad storm damage, I've gone out, you know, like reported Greenview Drive is underwater, you know, near Ocean Shores Boulevard, please avoid. When we had a really bad accident out on the highway, I went out, scoped it out, and called in with a report saying like, we've got 2 miles of backed up traffic on 109. You know, if we had thought, and we've tried for years, and maybe one of these days, somebody like a Kim would call in and go, you know, I don't want to be a DJ. I'd like to work more in the news area, because we'd like to build a little kind of informal news team to where when things happen in the community, we can have people call in with a report. Like, I'm out here on Duck Lake, we've got a fire, and we've got 2 engines, and the police are helping out and stuff, you know, Marty Hatfield reported, you know, but whatever. But yeah, I think that, like I said, the music and all that's fun, but our underlying purpose for being here is for emergencies and to disseminate information. And I think that's true of all radio stations.
but it should be, but especially for us, being city owned, being a non-commercial educational, being immediately local, having boots on the ground in the community, whereas there's no other radio station around the area that's physically got that opportunity here. I think that's where we need to.
I like your idea, Marty. The main reason is they never communicate with us now,
Mhm.
okay? We have to go find it out for ourselves. If they would just sit there, well, we'll just call KOSW, give them a report and get it over the air.
Right.
They have not done that.
So, yeah, even when it's not the middle of the night,
Good.
there's an opportunity for them to be able to call into the station and then be managed on the air rather than just kind of commandeering on the air. So, yeah, that even makes better sense. Yeah.
We've had community people call us up and tell us about it, something going on that we need to do. So we depend on everybody, all eyes.
If there's a police emergency, would they go through the fire liaison?
Well, probably, that's part of what would be figured out. There's also, since the dispatching for police, fire, EMF here is not done locally. You know, when you call 911, it's not answered here in town. It's answered in Aberdeen at the 911 E center. And they actually pick up the two-way radio and announce to the fire departments that, hey, you gotta roll this truck or whatever it is, fire response or medical aid response or police department response. So that all comes from outside of our own community. This gives our own community the ability to just directly talk to the community when something really serious is going down. So, or it may even just be informational, you know, that kind of stuff can come too. So, well, I'm glad we have concurrence that this is a positive direction. And I'll follow up with my contact and then perhaps at the next meeting or so, and there may be some more in between. But the intention is to get this more formalized and have a voice from that part of the city directly involved with the station. So I think that's fantastic. Let's move on to discussion. And Daryl had requested an opportunity to bring up this point of when do the political seasons start and stop around here?
I want to preface that with the kind of common knowledge, but also backed up by RCWs that you cannot use government resources for campaigning.
Mhm.
So that was the whole impetus about all this stuff about not doing debates and things, because you cannot campaign. You can't use the city Xerox machine or the city or the government, the county telephone lines or the state phone lines for campaigning purposes. And people have done that and gotten in big trouble. So to avoid that, because it's against the law, that's why the radio station didn't do campaign stuff. So the thing that I thought about, well, when does the campaign end? And what I'd like to have this body determine for the purposes of the radio station, because we're a little bit different than a regular city office. But once the campaign ends and you're no longer, when do you define that a person that's running for office could come back on the radio? Is it at 8 o'clock when the polls close on that Tuesday night? Or is it when the election is certified? Or is it when that person takes the oath of office? Or when the election is certified by the state for other elections, so that the county certifies for county elections, so they would be the one that does ours, the state doesn't certify ours. But then when the state certifies other elections, you know, when does that period end that that person is no longer a candidate? So I don't know if any people have some.
Well, I had posted that or circulated it. I was just trying to find it, and for whatever weird reason, I can't find it at the moment. But I think I'd sent out a sheet that described what every year is going to be different. Every election cycle is going to be different because the days are tied to the day of the vote, right? And then a certain period of time follows. And then it is, so you have the night of the election count. And then about a week later, I think, statutorily, and since I don't have my note here, it's approximately that, there's a second follow-up totaling count. And then there's a tertiary count that is done at the time that more chances. So there's a tertiary one that is when the vote, I'll use a term that's probably wrong, but I'll call it certified as being completed. And that's about another 2 weeks. So we're right now, I think November 28th.
Today,
3 o'clock is the day that, that today-ish is the day that the vote is certified. It's not effective though until the Secretary of Washington State certifies it, which is next month. It's in December, and I think it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th, something like that. So I was hoping I had it right on hand, but I can't. So the question is, do we want to follow the certification? Do we want to wait until the attorney or the Secretary of State finalizes it? Because everything stops after that. It's a done deal after the Secretary of State does it. Feel free to chat.
But there's no campaigning
Yeah.
after polls.
Yeah, you
That's
wouldn't
what I
think
was
so.
gonna say, there is no campaign, well, campaigning's useless after November 7th at 8 p.m.
Yeah, I would say it's all, once the votes are in.
Because
There's
even
no
with a
longer a candidate.
recount, you're still not gonna, there's no campaigning that's gonna change anything. you're just recounting the votes that were
Yeah,
already.
you're
put
not
in.
a candidate anymore.
Yeah.
You can't convince anyone to.
Correct.
Right,
You
to
can't
change your
change it.
vote.
Yeah.
Right, you could, I
What
suppose.
happens if the tie?
Don't go there.
Don't they have to?
Well, there's a mandatory recount at,
Right.
it's a 0.5% differential depending on the number of voters and all this other jazz. And, that's for a mandatory one.
And that's
You can volunteer.
mechanical, and then at,
Oh, that's
sorry, and then at 1/4% is a hand count, so they have to physically go through and hand tally everything.
Right.
And by then,
And then a candidate can ask for a count, but they have to pay up front 25 cents per vote, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there are all these little formulas to that stuff. So,
If it is a tie, or during your question, they flip a coin.
seriously?
Happened
Yeah, if it's
2 or
not-
3 times in McClary for the mayor.
yeah, it's down to 100% tie, yeah.
They flipped.
Yeah, oh, they do that all across the country,
Yeah.
or sometimes they, we did a story I had for Tom 2 or 3 years ago. Where they drew straws, because they had 3 candidates all tied, so they drew straws and the short straw became the mayor.
Wow. Interesting. So,
But you can't, the whole issue is you can't campaign.
Right, so I would look at it as soon as the polls close. No one's a candidate anymore.
Nobody else can vote, so, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's campaigning that you're addressing, and that's when campaigning
Right,
ends,
yeah,
is November 7th at 8 p.m.
okay. Local time, that'd be.
Cause the issue.
So I think that that'd be quite reasonable. I don't know, so. What prompted the question?
For instance, if the local rate, because everything is different, but I want to look at hypothetical and to have some framework for the next step. So just say that, for Grins, that, the incumbent won an election. So on Wednesday morning, could that person come back on the air?
Yes.
Well, we have to define that.
Right, I get you.
And that's what I want to do, is define when that person could come back on the air, because they can't campaign, so you're not campaigning on Wednesday.
And you might wanna add in there that campaigning, if you wanna, if you're trying to do dates, that campaigning would start when filing ended.
No, it's when you actually file. Then-
Yeah, that's what I meant, at that filing period,
So
so.
once you put the money down and you list it on there as filing, that's when it starts, that's when you become a candidate.
And that's when your restrictions start.
So you can use the verbiage filing week.
Filing, when it's posted.
So what happens if you wanna be a write-in, you don't wanna, you go around and tell everybody you're a write-in, would you be a candidate?
I think there's still a filing procedure to it, I'll have to check, but I think.
Or write-in?
Yeah, I think you still have to register with the county anyway, even for a write-in, for it to count. That's what I was
That way it
told.
helps eliminate the Mickey Mouses. and
Yeah,
things like
exactly,
that.
that's what I was told,
We
or
don't
to
know.
count.
Yeah, you're fired.
So if we wait till it's certified,
Right,
then incumbent couldn't come back until January. And you couldn't give the reports or
Right.
things, whatever, because they're no longer.
I always come from the worst case. You
Yeah.
know, what's just outside of the realm of likelihood that somebody's going to find, you know? I think that is completely explained to me now, and I understand that position. With that in mind, I think that it is pretty clear that the restrictions that the radio station applies on on-air talent or voices being heard should follow that submittal for
Yeah, once it's,
once you're running.
Yeah.
Until there's no opportunity beyond that to have an effective vote, right?
Right.
And of course, this whole thing is premised on the fact that we're owned by the city. If we were just a non-com station.
Yeah.
Owned by Billy Bob nonprofit, it wouldn't be an issue. It's an issue because we're city owned.
Correct. You can't use government resources. to-
Right.
Right.
Right, and that's where every other non-com in the state of Washington, this is not an issue.
Right.
But it is an issue to us and we have to act appropriately.
Well, in the long run, there may be changes, who knows? I know there are certain city council members that would really enjoy, at least they voiced that, seeing the quote unquote city get out of the radio business. So who knows what the future will hold?
Right.
There are some distinct advantages to the city having their own radio station, but
there are
we'll see
also
where
some
the water
distinct
takes us.
disadvantages too. I mean, look, I've always been one that when I started here early, have wanted to get the station away from the city, but as I've been here now 10 years, there's some very distinct advantages to being with the city, but there are also some very big limitations, like, every time we get a new volunteer, it seems, one of their first ideas is, how come you guys never solicit for memberships? And I go, because every citizen of the city of Ocean Shores is already a member. And also, what is it that you entice people to join with? You entice them with premiums.
Mhm.
We can't do premiums because is
City.
a public outlay or a private outlay of public funds. You can't give them something over what they do. So what any other nonprofit radio station can do to solicit, encourage membership, we cannot. And so, like I said, I see advantages and disadvantages, but if someday KOSW, this board was a nonprofit board, not the city radio board, I think there would be some advantages to that.
Just for the record, all the giveaways we do at our events is purchased by North Beach Independent Media, not by KOSW.
Yeah, that's one of the
I
reasons.
wanna make that perfectly clear, we're not giving away public funds here.
Which is one of the reasons why we started NBIM
That's
in the
right.
first place, is because we are hamstringed in certain areas.
Sure.
And so, and Mayor Dinkler, to her, give her due and her credit, she was the one who really kept suggesting that we form a nonprofit, because that would help, because that is an issue, most radio stations, they have call up, be the third caller and you'll win a free trip to Poughkeepsie, New York, we can't do that. We can't do that.
We can if it's not us paying for it.
Oh, right, but that's why we founded NBIM.
That's why we can give away tickets for New Year's Eve and we start giving those promo tickets out.
So do we agree that at one minute after the polls close, the candidacy ends?
I think that's an appropriate number.
That's what I.
And it begins once your filing is accepted by the county. That's when you begin.
Once you pay that dollar to them.
That's right, once you pay the money to the county, then you become a candidate.
Or can you also do it, all right. I haven't paid that much attention. In other states, it's either money or a certain number of signatures.
When your name appears on that webpage, the county.
Well, right, but I'm saying in other states and other locales I've lived, you either pay X amount of money or you submit X amount of signatures.
He is correct, and Washington State is that way. If you do not have the money to file, you can get a certain amount of signatures, and that waives that filing fee.
And
You
once-
take out like a petition.
So once you get the signatures, then your name appears on that.
Correct.
Yeah, it has the same impact as handing your money, but allows poor people to run for office.
So once you've been accepted by the county, then you're a candidate. Regardless if you pay money or not, but once the county accepts your name, then you're a candidate.
Good point.
Okay, so from the time that the filing is accepted by the county through 8:01 PM on the day the polls close, that's the restricted period for city political voices or something like
How
that.
about 1 minute after the polls close?
Yeah, it's at
He
8:01.
said
Well, it could change that.
That's true. I'll just say,
1 minute polls close. Now you're covered.
then it doesn't matter whether,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, because what if they closed it at 8:05?
Right, yeah, or 9.
Well, it doesn't matter, we're not gonna have mayor's jukebox anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do.
I asked him last night, finally,
Okay.
last time.
fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for the thoughtful approach to that, because it definitely needed a discussion, and I appreciate the clarity, because I'm thinking down one path, but there is a broader involvement that was into consideration now, so that's cool. I was gonna say one other quick thing on, I was digging back through some notes, and just a little over 3 years ago, November 13th of 2020 is when Crystal Dingler and I had met up talking about the power changes and need of the city to be able to cover the entire city with a signal, whereas we weren't completely covering the city. So it hasn't taken a terrible long period of time, but it has been 3 full years of pursuing. So kind of excited about seeing that and where we are today, being so close.
Do people actually want to have a meeting the day after Christmas?
Well, that's the next item of discussion, certainly for future meeting date. I know in the past we've, especially when it falls during a holiday week like that, chosen to skip that meeting. We have 2 options. We can agree to skip the meeting, or we can agree to change the meeting date if we feel that it's an urgent matter to have a meeting in December. It could even roll over to early January, I believe, and still qualify at the meeting that would be relevant to things going on in December. Personally, I'd like to see us just pass on the December 26th meeting. Discussion? Johnny, do you have any thoughts or comments about taking a pass on your first meeting as chair?
Yeah, I think that we should take a pause because of the holiday, and it'll give me extra time to study what I need to do, even though I know you're going to be there to help me. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to not do the meeting on December 26th.
Okay. Discussion? Anyone?
It's probably a good idea. I mean,
I agree.
Okay,
city employees probably get the time off as well.
Yeah.
So-
okay, well,
For that reason, maybe we should do it.
Yeah.
I'll be here, don't worry.
although technically don't think we have to vote on it, let's go ahead and do it just as a pro forma measure.
Thumbs up.
So, yeah.
They often do that, the mayor often does.
I know there are little subtle differences between how the city council meetings are handled compared to ours, but, so those in favor of, I don't even think we need a motion, but just let's go ahead and do a motion. We're gonna skip the December 26th, normally scheduled, board meeting. Hear a motion for that.
Sure, I'll move, then we skip it and
Okay.
continue on with the next meeting, February 27th.
Okay, second?
Wait, February?
Yeah.
You're gonna
January.
skip January?
I like February.
Yeah, January.
You can be mad.
He's gonna amend that.
March, April, sometime.
So the 4th,
This is 23rd to January 23.
24.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 2024.
You should push for April, that way you only have to do like meeting minutes like
I like this.
every 4 or 5 months.
Quarterly meeting.
Well, we can always change, well, we can ask the city council to change the bylaws. And maybe one day we'll reach that, where business is flowing along at a nice, easy pace, and there are not projects popping up all over the place that we have to be so in touch.
Oh, no.
But we'll see what happens. But anyway, all right, so, and all those in favor of moving the date to Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024?
Well, it's not moving the date.
It's just moving the meeting to the date of January 23rd,
Well, no, that's incorrect. It's not moving the meeting. It's just skipping this
Skipping one.
meeting and going to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna skip the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Yeah.
Which had been identified as December 26th. And we're going to skip that meeting, and our next
We'll reconvene.
meeting will be on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. At the Public Library in Ocean Shores. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're there, all right, thank you all very much. I think I can just adjourn us, I know I've done this before where I've said, you know, motion to adjourn, but I think that we've reached a point where I can just adjourn. Okay, so thank you all for attending today.
Thank you.
His involvement, here's.
I did have one question. When you excused Roseanne, shouldn't have you voted on that?
On which?
When you excuse Roseanne, there usually has to be a vote on an excuse.
Well, it's too late now.
I'm just bringing.
Now she's
Well, she only has
unexcused.
2 more potential misses.